Welcome back to Music Student 101. In part 2 of this series, transcribing a song, we're going to focus on the form and the melody of Dewey and Dora by our own Keith Andrews. By the end of this episode, we will have crafted a proper lead sheet. And now your hosts, Jeremy Burns and Matthew Scott Phillips.
Welcome back, listeners, one and all.
Welcome, welcome.
We are back in a rare situation to where we're actually doing a part 2 right after a part 1.
We rarely do that.
And we want to do that because we imagine this song is fresh on your mind.
Let's hope so. It's certainly fresh on ours. I think it hasn't gone away. It
is, man. I love it. It's one of my preferred earworms.
Yeah, it's very catchy.
To have. Oh, what else is new today? Matt, I fell in love the other day. I became quite smitten.
Okay.
Don't worry, Heather. This is with the chord.
I wasn't going to say anything.
This is actually with the chord progression that I heard for the first time. Well, no, probably not for the first time, but for the first time, this is one of those epiphany aha moments where you hear something and then you kind of find out what it is very quickly afterwards.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so I recently got this Peter Gabriel album, new to me, but it was 2002.
Yeah.
Called Up. And there's a song, the opening song of this album is a song called Darkness.
Okay.
And there is a point in the middle of the song, like a chorus, during the chorus, where we hear this fantastic progression. So I'm going to give you the chords. I'm not going to have their listeners, I'm going to bleep out that for the listeners just so they can hear the chords.
Okay.
But, and then we'll see if they can figure it out, and then I'll tell them what I went through to get to it. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so get us an F sharp major.
In the key of F sharp major.
In the key of F sharp major.
Ooh, man. That's a messed up key there, Jeremy.
I know. Peter. Talk to Peter.
All right, well, it's a lot of black keys, but we can manage.
Okay, so the first chord is... And then the second chord. And then the third chord. Yeah. So you hear how those flow together? Now, I heard that and I was like, okay, I got to learn this. It's just so beautiful. During the song, he's talking about where I guess he kind of goes into a dream sequence where he's walking through the woods and he comes up to this house and he goes up to the door, goes into the house and he sees the monster that he was so afraid of as a child curled up on the floor like a little baby boy.
Oh, that's interesting.
So he's kind of confronting his fears, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, these chords, it turns out in the key of C sharp, in the key of F sharp major.
Okay, you have F sharp major.
We have a minor 5.
Minor 5.
To a 4 major. To 1. Okay. So when I heard that, I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that last chord is a 1 chord, okay? I felt very resolute.
Resolute, yeah.
And then the second chord I kind of gathered was a 4 chord because I knew it wasn't a 5 chord. I knew it was a major chord.
Yeah.
So there's this one minor chord at the very beginning of the progression that I was trying to figure out, you know?
Yeah.
So first I tried to do a 2 to 4 to 1. So that would be...
G sharp minor.
To 4 to B.
To B major.
1. And I said, nope.
Still pretty, but no, not the song, huh?
And then I thought maybe it is 6 to 4 to 1.
So we'll try to keep this in second inversion. Yeah. 6 is going to be D sharp minor. So, yeah. And then from there to 4 B major. Something like that.
Yes. Beautiful, but still not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
You know? And then it just occurred to me, well, perhaps this is a borrowed chord because I did the bass line and I heard a 5 to 4 to 1. So
right, yeah. So what you were hearing then was that
exactly.
Yeah. So that led you towards the elusive minor 5, huh?
So yeah, in one sit down, yeah, buddy.
That's pretty. I'll give you that. And then what was that?
B major. For 1. So my first try was the 2, minor 2. My second try was the minor 6. But on my third try, I nailed it on the minor 5. So
fascinating.
Quick little ear training lesson for you guys. A new little progression to mess around with, perhaps.
What I really like is that melody where you're kind of...
Yeah, descending.
Yeah,
Oh, and just listen to what he does with it. Listen to the song "Darkness" by Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, we will do that.
Not to get too much into it, but I want to also say that this episode, that last episode, we kind of gave a little credit to our friend Tyler Critchlow.
Yes.
For asking about this transcription process.
Yes.
But I also want to give a shout out to my friend Chris, aka Tex the Legend Owen, in Australia, because even before that, he had recently asked me to help him put to paper an original piece that his fiance, Anderson Lane, and fellow musician, came up with.
Right.
And actually sat down and tried to do some, figure out the melody and all that stuff. And so I was kind of helping him make a chord chart with this.
Yeah.
So I figured people are asking, it's time. So hence, here we are on part 2.
Here we are.
Speaking of Tex the Legend, he was featured in our episode 70, which is listener compositions.
Right.
Now, I want to put a call out to our listeners because this is episode 77.
Uh-huh.
Lucky 77. Only 3 more episodes to go until hopefully we have enough submissions to do on episode 80.
Yeah.
Part 2.
Listener compositions. So get those compositions into us.
Bring them out. Yeah, bring them out. And here's another thing. Recently, I had a very crazy situation where my email crashed. The one that I use for Music Studio.
Yeah, I heard about this.
So, long story short, it's like... So I wasn't receiving emails. I had to call up, my server, GoDaddy, and long story short, I had to bail the account and start over, which involved me saving the mails.
Yep.
And then opening them back up.
Yep.
But somehow I didn't get my response email, so I don't know who all I responded to. I got your emails. So if you have not heard from me yet, just go ahead and write back and say, Jeremy heard about your email crash.
Yeah.
Making sure you got this.
Modern technology.
Yeah. It's great till it doesn't work.
Right, exactly.
That's enough for our preliminary digression.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our first digression of the episode.
Indeed. Was it? Okay. All right. Let's get on to our new review, Matt.
So we have a new 5-star review. From someone who is a number.
A number.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a chord progression. He's trying to give us I
was wondering about
message
that.
There.
Well, sometimes when I'm counting like 4s, I'm like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, but that's where it breaks up.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
And then it breaks up.
1,
2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Let us know what that means.
Right, yeah. We could be totally inferring. It could have nothing to do with music whatsoever.
As we do.
Yeah, but the brain searches for order and chaos, right? But anyway, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 says, perfect for music majors. These two make music theory simple. I like listening to the podcast when I'm at work at night. It's a great learning experience, and it definitely keeps my mind active when school isn't in session.
Great.
Well, we really appreciate that. That's one of our original goals is to help music students who are trying to get a music major survive theory a little bit.
So it's obviously very validating to us to see music students write in with positive results.
Absolutely.
Now let us move on to our new Patreon patron. Thanks again, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
And now every time I say that, I say it as 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
Kind of like my childhood telephone number, 277-1498. Okay.
Nice.
Put to music. You can remember just about anything.
That's not his current number, so don't try to call it and have a 867-5309 issue where they have to take that number out of circulation.
Right. Someone in Montgomery will be like, who are all these people?
Who are these people calling me?
Music nerds bugging me all day.
So anyway, our new Patreon patron is Robert Wyman.
Yes.
From Central Pennsylvania.
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about Robert. He found us on the Musicality podcast. You remember?
Yes, very well.
Chris Sutton and Adam and the crew over there. Great podcast. He said he, towards the end of 17, he is when he found us around that time.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's a self-taught bassist who met a keyboardist named Brian. Who had joined the church's worship team.
I see.
You see, Brian had just finished music school and was throwing around some theory terms that Robert was curious about.
I see.
He says he's been working his way through the episodes and trying not to binge because he wanted to absorb and apply these ideas.
Right, yeah.
I think that's probably some pretty good advice.
That is probably pretty good advice, yeah.
There's only a certain amount of absorbency your brain can handle when you're listening to things.
About an hour's worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the brain starts reaching its sort of upper limit, and it has to process, it has to convert that from short-term to long-term memory, you know.
Now, I'm gaining plenty from these episodes because I spend a week researching and making sure I got all my information right on the subject. We spend 2 hours recording it. We're talking about it then. And then for every hour of recording, there's probably 2 hours of editing. No, 4 hours of editing, probably more. So I hear these episodes over and over. So it's doing me great, but I can't imagine someone hearing it for the first time and then just moving on to the next episode like they got everything. You know what I mean?
It depends on what you want to get out of it.
Or what level you are. You might be a Theory 4 student and binge right on through it.
Maybe. Or I can see some people that just like having a conversation, hearing a conversation about music, you know, not necessarily intent on absorbing as much as possible, but just like sort of having the atmosphere and hearing people talk about music. You know, it's fun to talk about.
Well, that's what our friend Jessica Brophy does when she's doing her paintings.
Right,
Ooh,
yeah.
Did you see the picture she sent me?
I did. That's pretty awesome.
I told her we're going to have to send her a picture of your bass or you might get jealous. But Jessica Brophy sent me this beautiful picture of my piano. The piano whose keys are featured on the MU-101 logo.
I should send her a picture of my grandfather's guitar or something.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Something with a little bit of history.
Yeah, a little bit of history, a little bit of character to it. It's a beautiful painting. It really is. I really enjoy that. She's got a whole new direction to send her art in now. You know, we painting musical instruments. Right?
That was her first musical instrument. Me, my piano.
Yeah, there you go, man.
What a thrill! What an honor.
One of these days, you're going to see one of her paintings of a musical instrument in the Guggenheim or something, and you're going to be like, my piano was the first one she ever painted. Everybody around is going to go, yeah, right.
You have a Brophy original? Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. No, you don't.
Well, it'll stay in a very cherished and safe place in my recording studio, and I thank you, Jessica. But
excellent.
Moving on. Robert says while he's no longer performing with this worship group, he does miss playing the bass with them.
Yeah.
He learned a little mandolin and piano in elementary school, where he gained a basic understanding of the basic progressions.
Right.
1, 4, and 5 specifically. Tell us what he has to say, Matt.
So, Robert says, I like a fairly wide variety of music, and if it has a good bass line or a talented bassist, even better. Primus, Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, Stanley Clarke. This is just a who's who of bassists.
Yeah, Stanley Clarke.
Return to Forever, Kansas, Kerry Livgren solo stuff, King's X, Michael Manring, U2, Joe Satriani, although he can get a little repetitive.
Can he? I don't
it's a matter of perspective, I guess. Stone Roses, 80s hair metal, and 90s alternative as guilty pleasures since I graduated from high school in 89. One odd quirk, I like other people covering Johnny Cash songs. Have I got the band for you? There is an all Navajo cover band. And their name is escaping me at the moment. I'll look it back up. But there's an all Navajo Defenders. Yeah, all Navajo cover band, and they cover Johnny Cash. It's pretty awesome. Anyway. And Johnny Cash covering other people's songs, but not so much him singing his own stuff.
Now that is rich.
Yeah. I went through a phase recently where I was deconstructing all bass lines on When the Light Shines Through by Switchfoot, since Brian pointed out there were a number of interesting constructions in it. One of my bucket list items is also a crossover between music and woodworking, like making your own bass, for example. I'd love to make my own upright bass someday. See, I should really read ahead. I've been fooling around with some other ideas around a bass joe or similar type of instrument in the near term, but I'm working towards getting good enough with my woodworking skills to make my own upright. That would be impressive. I would love to see. Yeah, I would love to see a homemade upright bass.
I know, it'd be like building a coffin, I imagine.
Not dissimilar.
Yeah.
Except harder.
Yeah, that's right. You have to actually have acoustics involved.
Yeah.
You don't need acoustics 6 feet underground, do you?
No, you probably have other considerations. Preservability, right? Airtightness. Yeah.
I just think that was funny about the Johnny Cash thing because
Yeah.
I can see what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash has a very specific style that's not for everyone, but a while ago he did a really cool album where he was covering a bunch of contemporary artists at the time. I think one was Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, yeah.
He did Hurt, I think. And made it very interesting because Johnny Cash is a very good songwriter.
He is.
There's no arguing that.
Yeah, you know, I've heard people say similar things about Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
It's like when other people cover Bob Dylan, they love it. But Bob Dylan himself, because of that unique singing style of Bob Dylan's,
Absolutely.
yeah, you know, is not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so interesting stuff, yeah.
But I love how on the top of his list, Primus and Bella Fleck, those feature my two favorite bassists.
Oh, yeah, that top list is a who's who of bassists.
Stylistically, Les Claypool from Primus.
Yeah, he mentions King's X too, and
Oh yeah. And then technically Victor Wooten from Bella Fleck.
yeah. There you go.
Like you said, it's a list of bass players.
You should also check out the bassist, and I'm sad to say I don't remember his name, but the bassist from Boston.
Oh yeah.
Is a very, very underrated bassist. Check
Right.
him out. He's something else.
You know, I feel like a lot of those, like Boston and
Kansas.
a lot of those, the bass players are pretty melodic. So
Yeah, right.
and they
yeah.
often kind of do what the guitar is doing.
Yeah.
It seems like so it's kind of hard to.
Yeah,
catch.
bassist for Fleetwood Mac too. That's another one.
Now that guy had a sense of groove.
Yeah, he did.
He knew what to do with that low end.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Oh, da. Well, that was actually hard. Never mind. My brain.
No.
This
Crazy.
week is the first week of the semester for me, and my brain is running on fumes here. So apologize if I'm even more scatterbrained than normal. It's been one of those. But,
So moving on, I'll let your brain take a little rest while I read the listener mail.
okay.
Okay, we have our friend Timothy Thew
Uh huh.
from Berkeley Heights, New Jersey.
Yes.
He is actually a PayPal donor. He helped us out on PayPal.
Thank you so
and
much.
I feel like we've kind of been neglecting our PayPal donors a little bit.
We shouldn't do that.
There's not a whole lot of them, but
Right.
they are there.
Yeah, and we should express our appreciation.
And
better.
Timothy is certainly one of those. So here we are talking about Tim. Some Tim talk. Tim says, "I'm a classical guitarist recovering from focal dystonia." Are you familiar with that?
I don't think I am.
It seems to be a condition that affects your muscles in one particular area. Focal dystonia of the hand, for example, would be where your hand wants to either tense up and fist up uncontrollably, involuntarily, or actually like
Or release involuntarily. Yeah.
one way or the other involuntarily, which is a very difficult thing as a guitarist
Right, yeah.
to deal with. But it sounds like there's some pretty good news because he seems to be getting over it with a little bit of help. So, anyways, he says, "I'm a classical guitarist recovering from focal dystonia and working my way back to the repertoire while wanting to play music from multiple genres that are within my range while on a slow path. I'm studying again that addresses physical and psychological challenges of muscular dysfunction, though no handicaps of any kind, and foundational classical guitar study to rebuild techniques from the ground up." So he's using classical guitar techniques as a physical therapy, it seems like.
Yeah.
And learning music, obviously.
At the same time, yeah.
"Starting over, loving it, excited, and want you to be part of the education that I never had. So I think you and Matthew Scott Phillips are great, and I haven't even met you. Mine is nothing but gratitude for the education, entertainment, and the personalities that shine in the podcast."
Well, thank you so much, Timothy, and good luck on your recovery. Here's hoping that it is speedy and complete.
Yeah, we always love to hear a good, I guess you would say a standing up to the face of adversity kind of story.
Yeah, especially as it relates to music.
Especially.
Yeah. Those are always great to hear, and how music can, it can retrain your body, it can retrain your mind.
Music can help us in many remarkable ways, and we love to hear about it. So, Timothy, keep on playing, keep on listening.
Yeah.
Keep us posted.
Keep us posted, yeah.
Because we'll be listening to you.
Indeed.
And hopefully sharing your story of success.
Indeed. Yeah. All right.
Oh, wait, one more thing about Timothy.
Yeah.
His donation was considerable enough to where I thought, I need to send this guy a coffee mug.
Okay.
Even though it's part of the PayPal thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Patreon thing.
Right, yeah.
And so I offered that, and he's like, how can I kindly decline the coffee mug? My cabinets are full. I have all these coffee mugs, and my cabinets are completely full of coffee mugs. And I said, I took a shot of my coffee, my coffee.
Yeah, or you could have taken a shot of mine too.
I was I sympathize.
We sympathize, yeah.
So we sent him a notation notebook that both you and I signed. And he loved it.
Yeah, good deal, yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I've had to tell people stop giving me coffee mugs because I have nowhere to put them.
So we have alternatives if you are a perfect fifth member or major third.
Yeah, and would prefer a signed music notebook from us, or
we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
He wanted a signed autographed picture, but I don't think we're that big time yet, Matt.
I don't think we are that big time. We don't have headshots.
No, we don't.
We're not that on top of things.
And because it's just one headshot, we could probably split the price. Anyway.
We got a couple of selfies of us at the bar.
Yes, we do. We can sign those. Well, let's get into this episode, shall we, sir?
Okay, yeah. So let's get into it. We've waited long enough. So, first off, maybe we should review some of the basics from the part 1 of this episode, which we just recently did.
Yes. Yeah. I certainly recommend you listen to this in sequence if you haven't heard part 1.
Absolutely,
you'll be a lost puppy.
Yeah, a little bit.
But let's talk about this step, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Step 1 is basically prepping your notation paper. You take a completely new, fresh piece of notation paper, and you start making bar lines and measures.
Right, yep.
And then you just kind of get it ready to start writing on.
Yeah.
Use a pencil.
Always.
Until the final bit.
Yep.
And, the whole time through.
Really the whole time through, until you go in and put it in software or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, which is what we did, actually, for this episode. So you get to see a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Next step, you want to find the key signature, the time signature, and the tempo.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to find the key signature with a little bit of deduction.
Yeah.
And we took you through that process.
A little bit of deduction, a little bit of just playing around.
We found that we were in the key of G.
Mm-hmm.
We found that the time was fairly even sounding, with the exception of a couple of bars.
A couple of measures of 6 in what is otherwise 4, right?
Otherwise 4/4,
Yeah.
common time.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to find the tempo with my cool little app, tap the beat or something like that.
Right, yeah.
So I actually tapped that as I listened. I tapped in beat, and it gave me 150 BPM, beats per minute. And but if you don't have this cool app, you can also bust out a metronome and kind of keep on experimenting until you find something.
Yeah, play around until you figure it out.
Close. We chose that a quarter note equals 150 for the sake of having fewer words and notes per measure.
Right,
That gives me room to write the lyrics.
Yeah, there was a hypermeter over that would have been at a slower tempo. But, let's not jump down that rabbit hole.
Nah, because then we would have all these chord changes within one measure. That would have been chaos.
That would have been crazy.
Cluttery chaos. Next, step 3, you want to kind of map out the sections. In this part, we kind of determine what was the intro, what was the verse, and what was the chorus.
Right.
So we have it kind of sectioned out as 3 identifiable sections.
Right.
The intro only happens once at the beginning of the song, and then from that point on, it's kind of a loop of the verse and chorus.
Right.
But we're going to talk about that.
With a bridge, too, though.
With a bridge, but actually, fortunately, the bridge is the same material as the verse.
Yeah. So good work on that.
So, yeah. That made my job a little easier. Not that I wouldn't have been ready for it. And then finally, we had step 4, where we actually figure out the chords and kind of space them out appropriately over the given measures.
Right.
We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the lead sheet, but essentially, you kind of want to space the chords over each measure based on changes.
Yeah.
So if you have 1 chord per measure, I put it in the middle of the measure.
Yeah.
If you have 2 chords, I put them evenly, so you know that it splits up 2 beats in.
Right, yeah, so it's got that visual representation of half the measure being 1 chord and half being the other.
Exactly. A visible, kind of symmetrically sound representation.
Right,
to some degree.
Yeah, and most people, if they see that, they will assume that the first chord lasts for a half note in 4/4, where the second one lasts for the second half note in 4/4. Right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. So that was about where we are up to this point.
All right. So now we are going to figure out the form of the music, what happens when, verse, chorus, or A, B, or what have you. And then we are going to plug in our lyrics, which means we're also going to be plugging in our vocal melody in the actual staff music underneath Jeremy's chord changes.
Yes. And for those of you who may think this is a bit of an unorthodox order, The reason I'm saving the melody to last is because I want this to be completely in our heads. By the time we're ready to start notating the melody, I want us to have heard this song many times.
It seems to me people who transcribe music a lot tend to take things in order of things they're most comfortable in.
Yes.
So some people, like you perhaps, are more comfortable figuring out chord changes. So the chord changes come first.
Yes.
People who are more comfortable dictating melodies, the melody will come first, and then they will figure out what harmonizes. I have actually done it that way. I have done the melody first, and then say, okay, well, this melody is there's a harmony implied to this melody, so I will use that as a basis to figure out my chord change, and then double check, make sure anything that's unique or special going on, I catch that. But
so perhaps the order that you figure these things out at might be tailored to your strengths and weaknesses.
I think it almost certainly is,
musically.
Especially if you sort of have the mentality like I generally have, where it's like, just figure this out. You don't have a set step 1, step 2, step 3 when you're, it's like, hey, it's like, this guy needs this by such and such a day, and I don't have time to just figure it out. In that mentality, you're going to start with what you're strongest on. That's just human nature.
It makes perfect sense.
Well,
right. Well, in the Jeremian method, we'll be doing
chords come first.
Chords come first, and then even the form, just to give us one more chance to listen to that wonderful melody. So I think what we're going to do here is listen to the song one more time. Mm-hmm. Now, we've heard it by itself clean 2 times in the last episode.
Yes.
So if you want to hear it clean, go back and listen to
hear that. Yeah.
But right now, you'll be able to hear the whole song all the way through. But as we play this, we're going to be talking about the form.
I'm going to do some color commentary here on the form.
So I'm going to find my pencil.
It's around here somewhere.
I'm going to get up and find my pencil. Okay. I am magically back with my pencil.
We're magically back with Jeremy's pencil.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Remember that line that we left blank at the very top of the page?
Yeah.
That extra line? Mm-hmm. I'm going to write down on this line, form, F-O-R-M, colon.
And let's see if we can figure this out.
And we're going to play it, and we're going to see if we can figure it out. You ready?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dewey and Dora by Keith Andrews, our valued listener.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Intro.
Yep, guitar intro.
I'm going to write an I for intro.
Okay.
Okay, stand by for verse. And verse.
Dewey and Dora met in Spain.
Verse 1.
Verse 1.
Dewey was waiting on an outbound train.
I'm writing a verse with a little 1 hovering over it.
When Dora stepped in from the rain.
Or rather a V with a 1 hovering over it.
Smooth like a river stone.
Now, as there's a double dot repeat here.
At the corners of 2 eyes.
Verse 2.
Well, I would just call this part of verse 1.
Or just part of verse 1. Second part of verse 1.
Exactly, the repeat. It's a repeat. Because of those double dots.
Yeah.
No sooner looked, but they sighed. Smooth like a river stone.
Now.
Dora was looking for a way to be.
Chorus, right.
Dewey was seeking equanimity.
I'm going to write a C.
Well, they were reaching where they couldn't see. Smooth like a river stone.
Still the chorus.
Alabaster chandeliers.
Second part of the chorus.
Yep.
So there are little subdivisions within the verse and the chorus.
But I'm just going to call it 1C, one chorus for simplicity.
East and west and up and down.
Verse 2.
Verse 2, yeah.
I'll write a B.
On Spanish roads and Spanish towns.
Hanging over it.
Dewey and Dora cast around.
This is the Jeremian method.
Smooth like a river stone.
Continuing verse 2.
Southwest of Aragon. This pilgrim and this earthly paragon. Flashing days of halcyon.
Such a wordsmith.
Smooth like a river stone.
Now,
Dora was looking for a
here's
way
our
to be.
second chorus.
Do
Chorus
you see
two,
when
yeah.
equanimity?
I'm not numbering the choruses because they're just the same.
This chorus, yeah. Okay.
Smooth like a river stone.
On to the second part of the second chorus.
Alabaster chandeliers, bodega lights. If it takes 100 years, this could be the night.
Now what's this?
It's the bridge, but it's the same music as the verse. Yeah.
Same timing, same mapping.
Yeah.
Smooth like a river stone. So that was really a verse, right?
Yeah, just a verse without lyrics.
Dora sits and stares.
So now we're getting into verse 3, but just to take care of that previous section, I'm going to put a V for verse prime, this little apostrophe looking thing, and then I'm going to put the words solo over it, or whatever you decide to notate. Verse 3.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that solo in a little bit.
Dewey's pilgrim days wound down. There one day and that'd be the town when Dewey met David at the lost and found.
Still verse 3.
Smooth like a river stone. Dora was looking for a way
Chorus.
to be. Dewey was seeking equanimity. Well, they were reaching where they couldn't see. Smooth like a river stone. Alabaster chandeliers, bodega lights.
Still the chorus.
If it takes 100 years, this could be the night. Dewey and Dora met in Spain.
Okay. So I think most of that made pretty good sense, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So let me explain what people are going to see here on my paper.
Okay.
When you see on the top of the page, form, colon, you'll see I for intro,
Yep.
V with a little one hovering over it for verse 1.
Superscript.
Superscript, yes. Superscript 1. And then, not to be confused with the prime symbol. And then chorus, and then verse 2, and then chorus, and then the solo, what might be room for a solo or a little bit of an interlude he has here.
Yeah, maybe call that interlude, I think, would be a good word for it.
But then I would call it an I, and that would be the same thing as intro, right?
We call it INT period or something, but whatever, we'll call it solo.
In the Jeremian method, I'm going to call it a V prime.
V prime.
The prime is what looks like a little apostrophe hanging over the V.
Right, yeah.
And I'm actually writing the word solo over it so that they know it's the solo.
Yeah, but they also know that it's the chord changes from the verse.
Exactly, exactly. And the prime signifies that it won't do it twice. Where the verse goes twice, repeats that thing twice, the prime is to signify that it only happens once.
Okay.
So people will see that and be like, oh, something weird happens here. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
You know? And then right after that, we go right into verse 3. V with a superscript 3. And then it's time for the chorus. And that's basically the end of the song except for this one little tag at the very end.
Something you might call a coda if you were a big classical music fan.
How would I notate that, I wonder? Oh, the little thing with the little circle with the cross?
That's one way. Or you could just write the word coda is probably the most standard thing.
In this case, I called it V also prime. Do you think that is okay because it's just a little snippet of the verse?
Unless it's the exact same thing as the interlude, I would have to call it V double prime.
Okay, I'll call it double prime. Let's do that.
This is, of course, a lot of your own personal style and what makes the most sense to you.
Right.
You know.
But if what I'm doing doesn't make as much sense to you guys, feel free to distinguish between coda and double prime in this case.
I would call it coda. That's just me, but there you go.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And in which case, how would I actually go about notating that? Or is there a symbol that they would go back up to?
You just write coda.
You just write coda.
CODA.
Boom.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So there's 2 options for you for that.
There you go.
Right? Okay. So there you go. There you have the form. Go ahead and check this out on the graphic. This would be step 5.
Yep.
Check out the graphic and see if that makes sense. Follow along. Listen to the song again. Listen to us banter over it. See if it makes sense. Hopefully it didn't jump on his lyrics too much. Especially not the equanimity part.
That's our favorite part.
That's our favorite part. Okay. Okay, Matt. Now this part, I think coming up next, the final step in our method here,
Yeah.
is probably going to take up the bulk of the episode.
Probably.
And I had my own ways of going about finding this melody, but I'd be curious to hear some of your ideas as well.
Okay.
So I would like to direct you guys to step 6.
Mm-hmm.
And you will now see something new and different and pretty compared to my my caveman scribblings
Right.
for the previous 2 pages or several pages. We now have what is considered a fairly damn good-looking lead sheet, in my opinion.
Pretty decent-looking lead sheet, yeah.
A couple of things we're going to call out here as we go real quick, just so you can kind of look through the lead sheet, kind of give an overview.
Mm-hmm.
You see the measures are numbered on the top of the page except for the first line.
Mm-hmm.
You see where it resumes. We have 4 measures on the top.
Yep.
And then down the line, we have 5, 11, 15, and so on to signify
So
measure numbers.
we can keep track fairly easily of what measure we're on at any point.
It would be cumbersome to have them over every measure, I think.
Yeah, and at the same time, not having them at all would make you do a lot of counting.
Yes. Another thing to notice, I used Muse Score, which was a freeware software.
Is.
And I'm pretty happy with the results, honestly. And it went a little smoother than I expected. So, in the first measure, for example, you see there's 2 chords in that measure.
Right.
G and B7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting any slashes to show you counts or anything. We're just going with the notion that if you have 2 chords over one measure, then you'll split them up perfectly.
Yeah. If you wanted them to not be split up perfectly, you would have to do slashes or do something
to show
that.
what chords get what beats or what notes get what beats.
Right, yeah.
And then you see down here on measure 11, where we actually have a measure of 6, I did a very similar thing. 3 chords over one measure, evenly spaced.
Yeah. Now, what does that C/G mean there, Jeremy?
Ooh, good question. Keith is actually doing where I thought I heard an A minor 7 chord.
Uh-huh.
He's actually playing a C major chord, but he switches the bass to the G.
Which makes it a C major chord.
In second inversion.
Very nice.
And
that's what C over G means. It means it's a C chord, but play the G in the bass. And that's what that generally means, right? So D over A, play the A, F over A, B flat over D. That right hand letter will mean that's the bass note.
And then in proper figured bass, that would be a 6/4 chord.
Right, yeah. So it's sort of just translating it into a different language, but to talk about it in figured bass. But yeah, in figured bass, that would be 6/4.
Yeah. Check out the episode on inversions.
Definitely.
On that. Okay, so that's kind of the main things as far as what to look for. Well, there's also these double bars we talked about on the last episode. Double bars.
Yep.
Kind of shows that it's a section.
Yep.
To notate the section.
Yep.
The repeats, you'll see the double dots in some of these cases. That tells you to go back up to the other set of double dots.
Right.
So that's kind of like the road map, so to speak. So let's get into the melody, man.
Let's get
how
into
do you
that
wanna
melody.
do this?
Well, the first thing to do, this is not unlike melodic dictation.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, this kind of is melodic dictation.
Very much.
And this is the skill we're trying to imbue in music students when we make them do melodic dictation. Right? It's not because we're mean. I think I've said that on a melodic dictation episode.
Yeah, it feels like it sometimes.
It feels like it, but what we're trying to do is get you good at this kind of stuff, right? So, with that in mind, I would approach this very much like I would approach a melodic dictation. Now, usually when you give you melodic dictation, we give you the starting note. Keith is under no obligation to give us the starting note.
He is not.
So, if we just sing that starting note to ourselves, right? It's kind of the so sing that, and then try to sing the tonic of the whole piece. And if you have to listen to the whole piece, again, do it. If you listen to the song for a little bit, you'll be able to sing the tonic, right? It's right there and smooth like a river stone. Right? So our tonic is here,
Right there.
and our starting note
Is maybe 3, 2,
2, 1. There you go, right? So we figured out our starting note is me.
By using
right?
that
Scale
old
degree
trick.
3.
Yeah, that old trick where we sing down, right?
Exactly. That very true. Which Jeremy has gotten so good at now, I didn't even have to tell him to do it.
I've gotten familiar with it.
He's familiar with it. He knew to do it immediately, and he figured out what that was without me even having to tell him to sing down anymore. See,
Oh,
look at
come
that.
to think of it, that was pretty darn remarkable, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah. See, it doesn't get easier, you get better.
Okay, so we've determined that the opening note, which is big important, which is like the first step up the big mountain.
Yeah.
Up the big hike.
We've
up.
got note 1, by gosh.
So let's hear that G chord. Na, na.
And I've got the in our top voice here for
Smart.
Yeah. And so and our chords are kind of going to inform us a little bit, you know. I mean, so our next note is going to be part of that B7 chord, right? Assuming we got that right.
Yes.
Now, one informs the other, and the chords inform the melody inform the chords. Don't be married to your initial impression of the chord progression, right?
Good point.
If you got it wrong, this might be a good chance to figure that out. It's a back and forth kind of conversation in your brain.
We talked about it earlier. We do tend to infer, don't we?
We do. I'm bad about it. You got to watch me.
In various levels of music knowledge, we all still infer.
We all tend to infer, yeah. But in this case, I think that chord is probably pretty good. And then we have a B7, right? And that sounds like our note.
Is that a minor 7?
It's a minor 7. Okay. All right. Let me try that again.
Check out the ears on Jeremy.
Check out the ears on Jeremy's ears are better than my keyboard playing. It was bound to happen at some point. Okay. So B dominant 7. And that kind of sounds like our note on the word Dora, right?
Dewey and Dora.
Dewey and Dora. Yeah, and then we're just down tonic, which is actually the 5th of the 4 chord, of that C chord, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is sort of just outlining this tonic arpeggio.
So we've identified 4 notes that occupy, or at least 3 notes that occupy the first measure.
Right, yeah. 3 notes in the first measure, and then going into that second measure with the D, with sol. Yeah. And if you're not good at figuring out how far it went down, you can get at your instrument and try a couple. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
That's too far.
No. Oh, that feels right.
There you go. Right, yeah. You're probably better at this than you think you are. Most people are. And so that's our first little motive there, a little phrase, right?
Uh-huh.
And then figuring out the rhythms is just really a matter of the lyrics, right?
Yes, it is. So let's count real quick. Maybe you count while I sing, so we can kind of get an idea.
Yeah.
And go ahead and count 1, 2, 3,
4,
and
then 5, 6, right? Because this is this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1,
Dewey
2,
and
3,
Dora
4,
met
5,
in
6.
Spain.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good start.
Yeah. So that's a fast tempo.
It is. 150 beats. One quarter note equals 150. So we are going kind of fast here.
Yeah, faster than the song kind of gives you the feel of, which is interesting.
Yes, very much.
Disguise the rapidity of that tempo.
Exactly. So
Interesting. So we have yeah. So, and we've kind of gone on melodically to the next little snippet here, and this is kind of the way I work. I kind of work in snippets. So I kind of got and made it and then I'll go on to which is just 2 notes, right? It's just the tonic in both. You heard, when we start left on scale degree 5, you might hear that jump to scale degree 1. Right? It may be a little confusing in context because we're not jumping to 5-1 in the chords. The chords are 1-4. So But that is the tonic note, just as the fifth of the 4 chord.
Yeah.
And then the D major and the A. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1, 4, and 5. So. Yeah.
So let me kind of talk about this first measure real quick.
Okay.
And the first measure, just to kind of give a better idea of the rhythms, you will see this little rest here, this little funny looking thing that is actually an 8th note rest. Because he doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, Dewey and Dora, met in Spain. It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, Dewey and Dora, met in Spain. So that little 1 count, that downbeat is actually a rest. Dewey comes in on the upbeat.
Yeah.
And it's da 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 da, Dora. The R of the ra of R is a little bit longer than Dewey and Dora.
Yeah. Dewey and Dora.
So that we're gonna call that a quarter note.
Yep.
And there's other quicker notes, 8th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Dewey and Dora met in Spain.
Yeah.
So met in was on the downbeat.
Right. Met in 4 and right.
And then because of that little syncopation in lasts a little longer than the average quarter note, so that's why we have an 8th note rest after it.
Yeah.
I guess I could have made this a dotted quarter note.
Not actually, because we've got 2 lyrics, right? Met in. So we need a new note to represent a new lyric.
Yes. Well, the word met in, instead of having a quarter note and an 8th note rest.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The word
Yeah,
in.
you could have made that an 8th and then tied it to another 8th. Yeah. Yeah, you could have done that. But, the way you did it is readable and acceptable to most modern musicians.
So I kind of identify what words fall in the downbeats, and then I fill in the blanks on the either side of those words. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And then Spain,
Just a whole note in 4/4.
clearly a whole note in 4/4. That's easy.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to this, 1, 2, 3, measure 11, 12, 13, 14. This measure 6/4 with the Dewey was waiting on an outbound train.
Right, yep.
In this case, we do start on the downbeat.
Yeah.
So it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Dewey was waiting on an outbound train.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 train is going to be on the 1 of the next measure. And I guess it's hard to describe how to like the time values for these notes.
Yeah. You can always go back to your 1 and 2 and
1 and 2 and 3 and
1
4.
and 2 and 5. Let's make sure I get this right. 1 and 2 and 4 and 5, 6, 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Notice I sang that and over the 3 because it fell over the 3 and we had some more syncopation right at the end of that measure. Right?
Absolutely.
1 and 2 and 4 and 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Dewey was waiting on an outbound train. So you can see outbound each carries a note.
Yeah,
Each carries a beat.
it's on a beat. Yeah, 5, 6, 1.
So Dewey is 1. Wait is on 2. So
Yep.
Do on 1. Wait on 2. Out on 3.
Yep.
Bound on 4.
Except
We're in 5.
we forgot our meter for a
1,
minute.
6.
That's okay.
2, 3, 4. Dewey was wait. So wait actually would be on 3.
Wait would actually be on the and of 2.
The and of 2. Okay. So there's not
And
a
then it
downbeat.
goes through 3. And then in from wait in on the and of 3.
No, you're right.
Yep. And then on and is 4 and. Then out is 5. Bound is 6.
Yes.
And then train is the downbeat.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that makes sense
That's
for that.
straight as a pretzel, right?
And you want to snap it one more time while I count this so they can kind of hear it?
So
Snap the old snap and count.
yeah, measure for nothing.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Dewey
1,
was
2, 3,
waiting
4,
on an
5,
outbound
6.
train.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. There you go.
So
So now we've got the basics of our verse.
yes.
Right?
Well, actually, we had another half of the verse.
Well, we've got another half of the verse, but
We had the setup, I guess.
yeah. The second half of that is going to be similar, though, right?
Yeah.
You know? So we've got the next measure after train ends on that D. The D is sustained. There aren't lyrics for a few beats there, for 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, and then for half of 4 there are no, and then on the and of 4 comes when.
Yeah.
When Dora stepped in from the rain, and when you're transcribing this and melodically dictating this, you'll notice the pitches for when Dora stepped in from the rain are pretty identical.
Same notes as the first measure.
Yeah. All that we've changed is the rhythms, and we've changed those to accommodate our new words.
Yep.
When Dora stepped in from the rain. When Dora stepped in from the rain. Yeah.
Dare we count that out now?
Sure. And this is once again a measure of 6, right?
Well, it'll be a measure of 4 leading into.
So I'll give you a measure of 4, but come in on the end of that.
Okay.
Okay. Right, here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
When Dora
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
rain.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
When Dora, downbeat.
Downbeat.
Stepped in.
Downbeat.
From
the
downbeat.
rain.
All lovely, lovely downbeats.
Yeah. Well, beats. The downbeat is just one.
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right. All stressed beats.
But all on the beat.
All on the beat. Right. That's really the more correct way to say it. Probably how I should have been saying it this whole time. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. When Dora stepped in from the rain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dora stepped in from the rain.
And you can just kind of see where the longer notes, we often add either a dot or it would just make a regular quarter note. In a world of eighth notes, a majority of these notes are eighth notes. So if you hear that extra, him holding his breath a little longer, you put a quarter note down, or maybe even
a dotted quarter note.
Or a dotted eighth note, whatever it calls for. But there'll be a little bit longer. It's not robotic. It's not Dewey and Dora met in Spain.
Yeah, no, that would be dumb, right? There's a lot of syncopation in here to give the vocal line a natural kind of flow.
Yeah.
Right? A natural, not conform to a beat kind of flow. So when you're trying to transcribe it and your job is literally to conform it to the beat, what you have is a lot of syncopation. So you'll notice in that measure, 15, 16, 17, we have an eighth note and then a dotted quarter note, which together make up one half note, make up 2 beats, right? But it's not 1, 2, it's 1 and
instead of
3 and
instead of Dora, it's
Dora. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then stepped in. And
Same pattern.
those quarter notes are reflecting that.
And it might be that from might have been a little shorter than the, but we're going to leave a little bit of room for looseness for the,
for looseness,
for the artist.
I tend to infer. I would have thought that was dotted quarter note from, and then eighth note the from the rain. But
he's actually doing something completely in between those two.
he's kind of somewhere in those gray. I heard a great podcast this morning about a fit. So a bit is absolutely 1 or 0 and can be nothing else, and a fit is anything between 0 and 1.
Weird.
So so it's sort of the logic of fuzzy logic kind of a deal, right? If you're into logic or mathematics, computing, maybe this is making sense to you, I hope. But yeah, so it's kind of like fit logic. It's somewhere between those two absolutes of quarter or dotted quarter eighth, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of somewhere in between.
Almost defies notation.
Almost defies notation. Notation is an approximation always. Human beings don't really make music this way, where it's this uncompromisingly exact. That's why when we play MIDI files, we have a tendency not to like it.
Yes. Oh, you should hear the MIDI file of this one. It's very robotic.
We tend to not to think of that as good music, right? Because human beings don't do this. Black dots on a page is always going to be an approximation. You just have to be, as approximate and accurate as you can.
In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. On the website, musicstudio101.com for this episode 77, when you're looking at the graphic of the actual lead sheet that I printed out, the nice-looking one, underneath I'm going to put a link to where you can download the MIDI file and open it up in whatever MIDI software you use, hit play, and you'll see how robotic and mechanical it sounds.
Yeah, it is pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
It's not as anywhere near as cool as what Keith was doing.
Oh, no.
But the notes and the rhythms are all there, so let us move on, shall we?
Yeah, so then we have another empty measure of 4/4, empty lyric-wise. Now there's a guitar chord going on. And then we have our little hook. And then again, so from... 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice we again go back up to the tonic, but we do it in the context of this 4 chord. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So nice round, smooth neighbor note motion up and down to reflect the smooth like a river stone lyric. Right?
The notes, I guess, would be 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1.
Exactly.
Okay. And then the rhythm's actually 1, 2,
and 3 and 1.
Smooth like a river stone.
Yeah.
One more time. Smooth like a river stone. So let's look at those downbeats, or the strong beats, I guess.
Strong beats, yeah.
And even that's not accurate, I know, because really,
Beats.
yeah,
Look at
just
the beats.
not like divisions. Okay, smooth is on the downbeat.
Quarter note.
Smooth like is on a downbeat.
Downbeat.
Riff is on a downbeat.
River, yeah.
Smooth like a river.
Yeah.
Stone.
Yeah. So what we end up with is quarter note smooth, eighth notes like a, 1, 2, and eighth note dotted quarter note river, yeah. More of that syncopation, and then whole note stone on the downbeat, which is beat 1.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
And on that downbeat of the measure 21, we have our cadence, our authentic cadence. You know,
Yeah.
we're on the 1 chord G, and then we're on the 1 note stone.
Yeah. That's a perfect authentic cadence, 4 to 5 to 1.
Nicely done, Keith. Okay. So there you go, man. There's the verse. So just go back and read along as to what we're doing, and hopefully it'll all come together and make sense. This is not a very easy thing to talk about without visual.
It's very, and it's a very, very intuitive process, you know.
It is.
It's not easy to describe what you're doing exactly. There's not a step 1, step 2, step 3
Despite
really
my
to this.
attempts to
The
do
attempts
so.
to hammer it. Well, you know, you've got to start somewhere.
You do, really.
You know, you've got to start somewhere with what is this, you know. Yeah.
Let us move on then, shall we? I think we got the verse pretty good.
I think the verse is good, you know, and then there's the second part of the verse, which is all of this stuff again.
Yes, right.
But you know, keep in mind that as the lyrics change, the rhythm will change with it.
That's true.
You know?
That's true, because the second stanza of the first verse might not be rhythmically
The same.
as we see here.
Yeah.
But by the time you get the melody down and kind of an overall idea of the contour and the rhythms,
Yeah, then you're just making minor adjustments to fit the specific lyrics of the specific part. Yeah,
you're in a pretty good place at that point.
yeah. So then we move to the chorus.
Well,
Dead air, man.
dead air. Okay, so here's what I have here. Now, before we get into the chorus, I will point out one more time, because we did this when we were charting this out on the first episode. But you will see after Riverstone, the first time we say smooth like a river stone, we land on that G, on that cadence, and then we have another blank measure. Smooth like a river stone, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. So we're back at the top. You see those little double dots?
Yeah.
That means you go back up 3 lines to the very top of measure 11, where you see the other double dots, and continue from there.
Yeah, and a really, really thorough lead sheet would have the lyrics to the second time around underneath these.
Exactly.
Right?
But I'm kind of like doing a few little shortcuts here.
Yeah, we're shortcutting it here.
And also to avoid clutter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this is really a bass player's lead sheet. The main, these are the chords, the main thing are the chords.
This is not on a grand staff. But it's not on the bass clef either.
It's not on the bass clef.
So, I don't know whose this is, but this is somebody's chord chart here. Moving on. So now that we've gotten past this repeat, after it goes the second stanza of the first verse, we get back down to this smooth like a river stone thing again.
Right.
But this time, instead of going to where it says the 1, the first ending, we're going to skip that.
We're moving into the second ending.
We're
after
going to
the
actually
repeat.
skip that measure and go straight to the 2 after this measure with stone in it.
Yeah.
So it'll actually be like, smooth like a river stone, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Dora was looking for a way to be.
Yeah.
So Dora is actually going to come in, as you see, in the pickup
Yeah.
to measure 24.
Yeah. And how did we determine all this?
It seems to me that putting this little double bar here distinguishes this little second ending as its own little entity.
That's true.
I was kind of hoping to do double bars at the top of it, but I guess maybe that's not a thing because it wouldn't let me do it. So maybe that stopped me from putting out the wrong information. But yeah, so Dora was looking for a way to be. Really, looking is the top of the chorus.
Yeah.
Dora is the lead in. Pick
Yeah.
up.
So, and we're doing this by snapping along as we listen to the song and figuring out, and counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and making sure we know where we are when we hear Dora versus looking, and getting those measures straight.
Exactly.
So we know this because we've gone through in 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then da 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 da. Yeah. Yeah. Except I mean I just sang the verse, not the chorus, but you get the idea, right? Yeah.
So let's talk about it then. This pickup measure, we have 1, 2, 3. Dora was looking. So it's a measure 4, and it comes in on the 3 after and. Do is on the 3 of and, the and of 3.
The and of 3, yeah.
Is actually the 4 and.
It's
right?
4 and, yeah. And 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2.
So can you count out that lead-in measure for me, and I'll sing while we count?
Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Dora
4.
was looking.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then let's get into looking. So that little pickup made sense, I think.
Yeah.
That pickup measure.
Yeah.
Measure 24. Looking for a way to be. We're still on the 4. We're still in the 4/4.
Yeah.
And so 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking
1 and 2
for
and
a way
3, 4.
to be.
1, 2. Yeah.
So look is on the downbeat. On beat 1. Da 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 da.
1
Way.
and 2 and yeah.
I'd say way is on 3.
Yeah. 3.
2 is on 4.
Uh-huh.
And then
2 T-O, the word.
T-O, yes, to be specific. So count me down again. I'll try and sing this.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Looking
1,
for
2,
a way
3,
to
4,
be.
1, 2. Yeah. And that's a little slower than it is in the song, but it's easier to
Count out.
To count out, yeah. And what about the pitches there?
Na 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 na.
Yeah. I felt like before when you get to the chorus, you're a little bit starting over. I a little bit felt like, okay, let's go back and figure out and make sure we know what our top note in our chorus is, right? So
Yeah, I might have gone right into the rhythms and skipped that shit. We should say that, shouldn't we?
yeah.
So what is that note we're trying to figure out then?
I feel like that scale degree 3. And on Dora was looking is a 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah, so Dora is on 3, 2.
I was looking for a way. Right?
1 1 1 1 1 6 5.
Yeah. That's kind of a new pitch right there for us, right? That scale degree 6. So we start off in fairly the same sort of pitch shapes as we've looked at before. Yeah. La sol 6 5. Kind of got that almost that that hymnal feel to it.
That does sound kind of
that
hymnal,
kind of
doesn't it?
American. Yeah. And again, just keep picking until you figure it out. Nope. Nope. That's pretty good.
Now, if you know the key of G, you kind of have an informed path to take, but it's not always going to be there. There might be chromaticism. In this case, there's not.
Yeah.
But if you know that what the scale degrees to what key you're in, that can inform your guesses.
Absolutely. And your chords can inform your guesses too. We're on a C chord there. We'll start with saying maybe it's a chord tone in C and see what happens.
Right.
And in this case, yeah, it turns out to be a chord tone in C. It's the third of C, E.
That G note. Yeah. G and then E and then D.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so B, do you think we made it successfully through that measure? Dewey was looking, da, da, da. And then the rhythms, 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
You can see the eighth notes playing out, and then the 2 quarter notes on beats 3 and 4.
Right, yep.
Moving on.
And then the same kind of rhythm happens with the and for and at the end of that measure.
The same as the lead
Yeah, so the lyric B, away to B, a half note, and then the same kind of pickup on the and for and of that same measure. And then where are we going at this point with equanimity? This is the most unusual note pattern we've had so far.
Seeking equanimity. Yeah.
So a little neighbor note up to scale degree 4.
That C note?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By 4, I mean scale degree 4, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then the next measure, E. Yeah.
There's that G note.
Yeah.
You know that
G,
note?
Yeah. Yeah. That is the tonic note. If you can keep the tonic note in your head, you always have some kind of anchor, right? And the more you do it, the more you listen to this song and in this key, the more it'll come out that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a reduction of the melody, a simple reduction of the melody would just be da na na na.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. A rhythm reduced to.
We know those are the notes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So and it's kind of got the same contours a lot.
3.
Mm. It's got a lot of the similar contours, right? So anyway, moving along.
Rhythmically from the B, can we count that real quick?
Yeah. So that would be and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and.
So give me 4 counts, and then we'll come into B.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3,
Dewey
4.
was seeking
1, 2, 3,
equanimity.
4. 1, 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we see again the busyness versus the not so busyness.
Right. Yeah.
And my funny little rests. Are there dotted rests?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe
you can totally do a dotted rest.
I might should have messed with some of those. Sometimes you just kind of put the computer defaults what
Well, the computer does what it wants.
and I just think it knows what it's doing. Okay, moving on. We have equanimity.
Yep.
They were reaching where they couldn't see.
Isn't that just beautiful? Mm-hmm. It's beautiful for so many ways. Okay, well, so we won't drag this out any more pedantically than we have to. These next couple of measures, we're going to use this. We're going to be doing the same kind of picking out and trial by error stuff that we've been doing this whole time. Mm-hmm. When we do that, we'll get they were reaching where they couldn't see. Mm-hmm. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and carry on the 4. C. Mm-hmm. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. A whole measure on the word C. 2 notes.
2 notes. Right.
Right. And those 2 notes played over this A major chord. Mm-hmm. Couldn't. Kind of an appoggiatura, right? Mm-hmm. Non-chord tone resolving. 9/3 appoggiatura resolving, right?
As opposed to a suspension, though.
It would only be a suspension if we'd played the B beforehand, somewhere in the C chord.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is an appoggiatura. Yeah. Beautiful part, right?
Yeah.
And again, look at all the good things going on to make this a good song. On the words C, this is sort of an important part of the lyrical line, mm-hmm. and we have emphasized that this is an important lyric by giving it a new little musical gesture that we haven't seen before with this appoggiatura. And a new chord,
right?
Sort of, right?
A major. This is the debut.
This is the debut. So we're calling your attention to looking for a place they couldn't see by giving a new chord, a new appoggiatura, and in this way we're giving that notion that this is one of the more profound statements of the lyrics, right?
Truly.
This is where we're really getting to what was going on with Dewey and Dora. This is not just prose anymore, where we're setting up the story. This is getting at the heart of going on when we say they were looking for what they couldn't see. You know, we're this is kind of an epiphany. We realize that, you know, and we realize that with the new chord. Good songwriting.
Absolutely.
Is what I'm saying here.
Absolutely. Well, let me point out something else about this measure. This is the first time where we see our friend the slur.
Yeah.
Because if he had said, they were reaching where they couldn't see, well, that would have been 2 notes without the slur. But because he says, reaching where they couldn't see, melisma.
Melisma, yeah. More than one note per syllable.
Yes.
And I'm actually going to clarify a little bit. We use the slur because C is the same word.
Yes.
And in vocal music we use the slur whenever there are 2 or more notes to the same word to indicate you're singing the whole same word.
In the same breath.
In the same breath, but mainly really the same word.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, generally the same breath too, yeah. But yeah, the
For it
same
to flow.
word. Right, yeah. We would not use that slur if the lyric had changed with that half note. Mm-hmm. You know, but it didn't. It was the same word, 2 notes, so we slur those notes together.
So just to get us up to that point, we'll go ahead and count out one more time. Mm-hmm. Seeking equanimity.
1, 2, 3, 4.
They were
1,
looking
2,
where they
3,
couldn't
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
And then we know smooth like a river stone. We already talked about that.
We know that, yeah.
So we could just skip right past that.
Yes, we can.
Smooth like a river
It's pretty much the same as it was.
It is. Mm-hmm. Every time it's singing that song, it's the same.
Yeah.
We got that. We can always hang on to the hook.
We can always hang on to the hook, yeah.
So now I guess we can move on to this kind of change, this kind of, to me, like the pivotal part of the song to me, or the chorus.
And this part whereas I said at the beginning of the chorus, you're kind of starting over in your transcribing and you're picking the song out. Uh-huh. Now you really, really are starting over because this is really significantly different.
Yes. Where we were living in a similar world in terms of rhythmic values and in terms of the contour and the notes involved, we're now kind of changing it up a little bit over here.
Yeah. And we have this A minor chord, which we already picked out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was pretty easy to spot, right?
Yeah.
For me, anyways.
Yeah. And well, if you're good at doing chord changes, then that's, yeah, it's going to be pretty easy to spot. We kind of stumbled over this last time too, because it really is like sort of starting over. So you might have to get up your instrument and go, no. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just to sort of get at it.
Which is what I had to do.
Right. Which is what I would have had to do too. This is very much kind of starting over. And with that A minor chord, to pick out those notes, if we're going to let the chord, which we feel pretty good about, inform our melodic dictation, then maybe we think that this is an A minor chord tone. Those would be the first 3 notes that I tried. Uh-huh. Right? Something like that, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, so let's see. And, well, come here, where am I? There you go. Like you want to do minor. Yeah. So this would be a really hard part in the transcription, definitely, where you're going to have to sort of think. You can still think distance from tonic. It's just going to be. You're going to have to be pretty good to hold on to that tonic when you hit a 2 chord, right?
Right, because I would need to be distinguishing that, holding onto the tonic while still in an A minor chord.
Right.
Right, it's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Because it's not the bass of the chord.
Right. But, if you can do that, and really the tonic is going to feel to, like, rest to you at this point because you've heard the song so much. Mm-hmm. But you can still... alabaster chandeliers. Yeah, so you can still sort of just sing down whenever you need to figure out what note you're on, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we'll get it. And again, to pick out the rhythmic part of that, Same process we've been using, right? Count it out, figure out where your beats are, figure out what syllables the lyrics are on the beats. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4.
Da.
Yeah.
Count me down one more time. I'll try and sing it along.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
alabaster chandelier.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1
Yeah.
bodega.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 1, 2. Yeah. And then bodega lights. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1.
1
Yeah.
bodega light.
Yeah. Again, we don't have to keep belaboring this. It's the same. It's the same stuff, right? Yeah. And then if it takes 100 years, mirrors the alabaster chandeliers line.
Conveniently in the measure right beneath it.
Right beneath it.
I did not even do that on purpose.
I did not even do that on purpose.
But it's the exact same line. It is the exact same melody and the exact same rhythms.
Yeah.
1 alabaster chandelier.
Yeah.
1 if it takes 100 years.
Yeah.
So boom.
Yeah.
We already know it.
Mirrors it, yeah. So just do the same thing. And then after, if it takes 100 years, this could be the night. A little less challenging at this point because we're kind of more stuck on, or we're more centered around that tonic chord again. But with that 6th note again, with that scale degree 6 again, which we've heard before by now.
On the
Yeah. It'd be the night. Yeah.
And where we might have had a C before, we have a C minor.
We have a C minor now, a little borrowed chord action.
But it still works, right? Let's hear that. This could be the
And then we're going to what? D?
night. This could be the night.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. This could be the night.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is on the downbeat. This could is actually on the upbeat.
Yeah.
But it holds over to the upbeat of the next beat. B is on the upbeat. It's not this could be. It's this could. Oh well, yeah, it is before that. This could be the night.
Yeah.
Does that read out like I counted it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. B is a little longer. The is a quarter note, and
Yeah.
then night, the whole note to end off the verse.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
I mean, it's the chorus, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what did I say? Verse.
The verse.
My bad. To round off the chorus.
To round off the chorus. Yeah. And now, if we go back to all that form stuff we did at the very beginning, we have the music that we can plug, in for verse 2. The chorus will be the same. The solo or interlude or whatever you want to call it. Is the same chord progression as half of the verse.
Half of the verse.
With no lyrics.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and with if you wanted to transcribe out the second verse, you would be doing the same thing, and you would have the musical shapes of the melody already down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You would have that down. It would just be shifting the rhythms to reflect any word changes. And really, it's just going to be a couple of minor little shifts at that point, right? So you could put that out. Verse 3, same situation, right? It's the same melodic shape. So you're working with the material you've already figured out. And just making the minor changes to reflect verse 3. Yeah. And even that coda is just right back to Dewey and Dora met in Spain.
And then end.
And then end.
So you've heard that at the very beginning of the song, so you actually know that melody too.
Yeah. Once you get the verse and the chorus, then it's just it's pretty smooth sailing.
Minor adjustments. Small minor adjustments.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is essentially the lead sheet for Dewey and Dora.
That is the lead sheet for Dewey and Dora.
Now, there is one more thing, because I think we have time for this.
Okay.
What I like to do is, on the next graphic you see will be the same thing, only what I'm going to do is we're going to put the diatonic chord kind of symbols with each chord, so that if you wanted to actually take this song and put it in E, for example, then you'll know it's not G, B7, C, G.
Yeah.
It's 1, 3, 4, 1.
Yeah. Now, if you're really good at theory, you can do this yourself.
You should at this point.
But we'll help you along.
But we will. So you will see in this graphic, this final graphic, underneath the measure, underneath the bar of each chord, I'm going to actually put down beneath the lyrics the diatonic or the harmonic analysis.
You're right, yeah.
Let's just hit them one by one, shall we?
Okay.
First measure, we know we're in the key of G. We have
1.
This B7 chord,
3/7.
but it's a major 3/7, so it's really a borrowed chord.
Borrow 3/7.
So it's not diatonic, but we'll make it a major 3/7.
Yeah.
Then we have a 4 in the next
4.
measure.
Mm-hmm.
C going to G, that's a 4-1.
4-1.
This is the intro, by the way. 4-1. Measure 3, we have 4, but now we have a 4-6-4 chord.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's going to move on to the 5. I'm sorry, to the 1.
To the 1.
And then to the 5.
5. Half cadence.
And then half cadence continuing that 5 on measure 5. Measure 6, we had the same thing as measure 1. We have that 1 chord and then a borrowed 3/7 chord. Okay, so that's measure 6. Measure 7, again, we have the C moving to G. We got a 4
to 1.
to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have next measure 4 moving to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then rounding off at 1.
And 2 measures of 1.
So that's the intro.
Yeah.
Verse, same deal. We have the G. We have identified that as the 1 chord.
Yeah.
That's my cat freaking out. We have B7. That's another just dominant 7 chord, borrowed chord. And
Yeah, it's a borrowed chord. It's not a dominant chord.
It's not a dominant chord because it is not resolving to an E minor in this case.
Or is it? Nor is it a? Yeah, right. It's not a 5 in the key. It's just 3/7.
Okay, fair enough.
It's actually a chord of tonic function. It's an extension of a tonic.
As the mediant so often is, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Spain, that's 1. We're on the 1. Dewey was waiting on an outbound train. Again, we have a similar situation where we have the 4, Dewey, and then waiting is actually C with the G in the bass, so we're going to call that a 4-6-4 chord.
Mm-hmm.
And then G outbound train. Outbound is G, which is 1. Train is 5.
5. Half cadence.
We can hear that half cadence, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
And then when Dora stepped in, Dora, again, we're on G. G,
1.
B7,
3/7.
from the rain,
4 to 1.
4.
Hopefully, we're starting to sense a pattern here.
Yes.
Several patterns, in fact.
From the rain, smooth like a river stone.
Yep. 4, 5, 1.
Simple. 4, 5, 1. And then the chorus. Dora was looking for a way to be. Again, we got a C, that's a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm writing this underneath the chords. Way to be, there's your 1. Dewey was seeking. There's a B7 again.
Yep.
Although
3/7.
I might go as far as to call this a
Call
dominant
this
function.
now. This time, go as far as to call it 5/7 of 6.
5-7 to 6, right?
Because where does it go?
it goes to 6.
It goes to 6.
No funny stuff there.
And nope.
It's a very intuitive place to go.
Yep.
There's a reason why it sounds so good.
Yeah. Incidentally, we are calling it 3/7. But one of our listeners who emailed us recently were asking, can secondary dominants ever resolve deceptively?
Yes.
You recall that?
Yes.
And
That was Isaac Samuels. That wasn't too long ago.
right. And you answered him well, and I've been meaning to get back to him and say that the short answer is yes, they do that.
Okay.
And here's a perfect example of them doing that. We're calling it 3/7. We could call it 5/7 of 6, resolving deceptively to 6 of 6, which would be C.
Yeah.
We would call it 4, not 6 of 6. That's dumb. but that B7 to C is resolving deceptively. It's why that works. And then down here when B7 resolves to E minor, that is just 5/7 of 6 to 6.
Yes. Doing what it's
Doing what it's supposed to.
following its function.
Yeah. So to answer that email, absolutely yes, that can and does happen.
Great. Hey, there you go.
Live answer.
And then where were we? The C minor. Okay, so we
C-
got that E minor is the 6th chord,
6 chord, moving to borrowed minor 4 in C minor.
which is pretty darn cool in my opinion.
Pretty darn cool, yeah.
Borrowed minor 4.
And giving us a sort of minor tone there for a little while.
Yeah. And then A, reaching where they couldn't see, we have an A major chord
Yeah.
in the key of G.
I would call that 5 of 5.
If it had resolved to 5.
If it had resolved to 5 of 5. I have, I've been figuratively smacked on the hand for ever writing major 2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You can't just call that a borrowed chord?
I mean, technically, but borrowed chords aren't your get out of jail free card, Well, it's just borrowed. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, borrowed from what? I mean, that chord isn't major in the minor scale either.
No, it's not.
So
it is not.
I guess I would have to call that 5 of 5. Yeah, that's interesting.
5 of 5 that resolves to 4. 5 of
5
5
of 5 resolving to 4.
Maybe it can be considered part of some kind of a cadential motion.
Or actually neo-Riemannian motion, which is not something we've really talked about yet on the podcast.
And that everything is a 1-5-1 progression when you really boil it down.
Oh, no, that's Schenkerian analysis.
Oh, okay.
Neo-Riemannian analysis is the analysis of chords resolving by third, so A major resolving to C major.
Ooh, I think I like that.
Yeah, well, we'll get there.
Great.
We'll get there. Have some patience.
Great. But in the meantime, we're going to call this...
In the meantime, we're just going to call it 5 of 5 and be done with it, because
5 of
we
5.
don't care.
Because we don't care. Theorists.
Theorists, come at us, bro.
Yeah.
And when we pass through this 4 chord, we do get a resolution 2-5 on D.
Yes, we
right?
do.
Yeah. So 5 of 5 moving through 4 to 5, and then we have a 5 that moves to 1. So it does eventually go where it's supposed to. It just kind of passes through a 4 chord in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And that chord is there to preserve the chord progression of the R hook, smooth like a river stone. Right? So that hook takes precedence over writing the most simple harmonic functioning progression possible.
Oh, I never thought of that. It's pretty cool.
Which is something that happens a lot, right? When you're wanting to keep, when you have something like that you want to keep the same every time you hear it, as a good hook should be, then that's going to supersede writing the simplest possible chord progression. And that's what's happened here with 5 of 5, but we have to move through 4 because we had a 4 when we heard that the first and second time.
Possibly calling a little more attention to the hook.
Maybe so, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, all that to say, it does eventually hit a 5, which then eventually hits a 1.
Cool. Let us continue to blaze through this analysis, shall we?
5 of 5 and 4 are 2 predominant functioning chords. I'm just saying.
Yeah, right. Okay, smooth like a river stone, and then we're going to go into alabaster chandeliers.
Right.
Measure 31.
Good old A minor.
Measure 34.
Yeah, which is a pretty simple functioning 2 chord. Mm-hmm. And then from 2 to 3-7, which is sort of a. But again, I would probably call this 3-7, 5-7 of 6 again.
Yeah, 5 of 6 because it does go to the E minor.
Yeah, and then moving to 6. And again, the same kind of passing through a weird chord to get to a more common one, right? And so this is not an uncommon kind of chord progression. 2, 5-7 of 6 to 6. Mm-hmm. So that 2 is that 5-7 of 6 is just expanding a 2 to 6 progression.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so and now we land on Bodega Lights. This C7 right here.
Yeah.
That's kind of an alien chord to the key of G.
Yeah.
Because the C7 in the key of G major would be a C major 7.
Right.
But
this is C dominant 7.
Dominant 7.
So you might think of that as 5-7 of 7.
Uh-huh.
Although I doubt it's going to resolve that way ever. There are no F sharps in this chord. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, a kind of a neo-Riemannian move from C7 down to A minor.
You know what this means? Pretty soon we should do the episode on neo-Riemannian.
Yeah, that might be forthcoming.
Yes, it might be. Spoiler alert. Okay, so then moving on to if it takes 100 years, well, we already ran into this A minor. We call this the 2 chord. Same kind of thing. It goes 2 to B7.
Yeah, 5-7 of 6.
5-7, yes. Well,
but or 3-7 because this time it is doing that deceptive resolution.
To in fact a C minor.
Yeah, and so the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking every time we say 3-7, we should really call it 5-7 of 6, and explain that this is a 5-7 that is resolving deceptively.
Deceptively, okay.
Yeah.
We can do that. Yeah. 5-7 of 6.
All right. Sometimes theory is a messy process, folks.
It is.
Sometimes you rethink your initial impulses.
Your initial inferences.
Yeah. And then we end on a 5, which is a half cadence.
This could be the night.
Yep.
You just need to hear that one.
Yeah. And we're not going to really hear the ultimate resolution of that 5 until until the very end of the song, until actually that coda.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, he goes back into the verse. I guess you get the one right there.
Yeah, but that's kind of a repeat, right?
It is kind of a
That's
repeat.
kind of like a parallel period kind of thing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to our episode on
On that, yeah. Yeah,
form and analysis.
Yeah, so you don't really, in a fundamental way, get the resolution of that until the end of the song.
Correct.
So there you go.
Another example of good songwriting. So there you go.
Yeah, there's so much. I would love to just do an episode on this song that is just talking about the compositional aspects, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But as fascinating as those are, you know, sometimes you do put those aside to transcribe a lead sheet. What you're really concerned with is getting the notes right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal. And, you know, this has been great for me too, Matt, because as I was going through and transcribing and trying to figure out how to put this to digital, you know, format.
Yeah.
It was kind of a good opportunity for me to break down the melody and the rhythms and make sure everything fits in every measure.
Oh, yeah.
The articulations, the slurs.
Yeah, this is great practice.
So, yeah, it's been great for
This
me.
is great practice for melodic dictation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way to practice your melodic dictation that can also occasionally get you paid.
Yeah.
You know, people pay money to have people do lead sheets like this all the time.
Mm-hmm. And now that you have this harmonic analysis, doesn't matter what key you're in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the key of G, it's still 1 3 5 1 or 1 3 4 1. If you're in the key of E, it's still 1 3 4 1.
Yeah, then that would just be E, G sharp 7, A, and E.
Exactly.
Whatever, right?
Transposition meets transcription.
Right.
So let's do a recap real quick.
All right. I
And
don't know how to recap this, but
There's nothing to it actually, Matt. All we did was essentially in this episode we played the song through and figured out the form and charted it at the top of the paper.
Yep.
Using V, C, I, verse, chorus, intro instead of A, B, C sections.
Yep.
For this purposes of song, you know, transcribing a song compared to a, you know, no song piece.
Yeah.
What would you call it? Instrumental?
An instrumental. Yeah, sure.
Oh god.
Depends on 100 things what you would call it, but yeah.
So that was the first part, and then we essentially spent the rest of the episode trying to nail this melody.
Yeah, trying to nail this melody.
Essentially a glorified melodic dictation episode.
Yeah, and applying basically the same principles that we apply to melodic dictation and rhythmic dictation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go. I want to give a shout out again and a thanks to Keith Andrews for writing this beautiful song and giving us permission to use it on the episode.
Really nice song. Really did like it.
I got a good feeling we'll hear from him again. He actually has some really good music. Check out Reverb Nation and put in Keith Andrews and check out his music because he's got a lot of other really good stuff like this, and we'll probably hear some of it in future episodes. We have listener compositions episode coming up.
Yep.
And again, head us up with your compositions. We have a few good ones, but we need one or two more.
Yes, indeed.
For a good, robust episode.
Yep. Send them in. We know you have them.
And we'll have a couple of different episodes in between now and then, but we'll be looking forward to all of those.
Yeah, especially the Neo-Riemannian one, right?
Ooh, yeah. Some of these I kind of put off intentionally.
Well, some of these we have to know more stuff before we can talk about them.
That's true. But are we at a point where we can do that?
We're getting very close.
Okay, cool.
Getting very close.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We hope you enjoyed the transcription process. And we hope you've been inspired to create and chart some of your own music. And don't forget, our listener compositions episode is right around the corner. Send your submissions to info@musicstudent101.com. And if you wish to help keep us in coffee, you can do so at patreon.com/musicstudent101.